Did you know that fungus gnats can contribute to the demise of your seedlings? Yes, they can. To be fair to the fungus gnats, it's not actually the fungus gnats themselves that harm your plants. It's all the eggs they lay and the larvae that hatches. And the larvae eats the roots, the root hairs, root fibers. They'll even burrow through roots. And so before you know it, you have a really big issue and you're trying to figure out, why is my plant dying? I potted these up. These started in pots, and then I potted them up about 3 weeks ago, I think. And they were much bigger than this when I potted them up. And since then, they just keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And like literally a whole stem will just fall off. I'll set the pot down and it'll just fall off. I was trying to figure out what is happening. I thought maybe my new lights were too bright, but like I have these much closer to the lights than these were, and these guys are thriving. So that didn't make any sense. I finally figured it out. First and foremost, when I potted these up, I potted them into too big of a pot. So if you don't think that the pot size matters, I'm here to tell you it makes a huge difference. So, and the reason why is if you have this little plant in here, now these were bigger, but not that much bigger. You have this little plant in here with its little set of roots. It's surrounded by so much soil. It doesn't need that much soil or that much moisture. It's not, if I had a big, huge plant in here, it's going to be, I'm going to be watering it once a week, and it's going to be, utilizing the moisture and the nutrients and the whatnot that's in there. It needs that much space. This little plant does not need this big of a pot. This was a big mistake. Why is this such a big problem? Because the soil stays wet. It like will never dry out in a pot this size. And I'm going to show you this because I just did it. What I'm going to show you with these, I have not watered these pots, I'm not even kidding, for almost 2 weeks. If you pot your plants up into pots that are too big for the plant, the soil's going to stay wet, the roots are going to get choked off. So even if I didn't have fungus gnats, we could still be killing my seedlings just by potting them up into too big of a pot. But also, I have all these other plants over there. Nobody's being bothered like these guys. There were 6 on this tray. And this tray, when I would pick it up, they would just explode. So pot size matters, people. Pot size matters. The other thing that I did wrong was, for a while, I was treating with mosquito bits. Now, if you're not familiar with this product, you take a gallon of water, a 1/4 cup of the bits, put them in there, set a timer for 30 minutes, then strain this out, put it back in your pitcher, and you can use this for about a week. And so that's what I was doing. But anyway, I was staying on top of it. We also have one of those little bug zappers. Those aren't really effective. All they do is scare the crap out of my dog. So I don't really recommend those. But the mosquito bits, this is an amazing product. So highly recommend that. But once we got kind of a handle on it, then I got lazy and I just kind of stopped doing this. And I just let it get out of control. So by the way, one adult female fungus gnat can lay up to 300 eggs. So if you just do nothing and you just let them do whatever they want over there and have a field day and take up residence in your plants, this can happen. I mean, eventually, if you really just let it go, this will happen. So what are we going to do here? I'm not going to bother trying to fix this. I'm not going to try and fix these. They're goners. This guy is I'm really just doing it to show you because I already did the 2 that I believe in. There's these 2 right here. Go away. So we're going to get these guys out of here, and I'm just going to do this process with this guy. Do I know if this is 100% going to work? No, because I'm going to tell you right now, I have never, ever had this happen. Ever. I've been growing tomatoes in my house, in my grow space for at least 13 years, and I have never had this happen. It's very strange, actually. I mean, it makes sense to me now that I've put 2 and 2 together. But having branches, I set the pots down and whole stems just fall off. Here are the variables. Watering, I don't overwater. It's certainly not my plant food. I use Trifecta and I have since it's been invented. Your soil, I changed soil this year. So I will not be continuing with this soil. It's kind of a mystery to me because like everybody loves it and it's just not working out for me, either in pots or in soil blocks. I'm going to take this plant out. Wow. I was trying to do that a little differently than I did the others, but I just got soil everywhere. What I'm doing is taking all the soil off this plant, and I'm going to repot it into this little white pot here that's much smaller. So I'm potting down significantly. One, because this is way too big, should never have done this in the first place. And two, because when I repot this plant, I want it to be in so little soil. I want it to be in the bare minimum amount of soil so that that soil dries out in between waterings and we create a much less hospitable environment for the fungus gnats to lay their eggs. So that's the theory behind all of this. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to get as much of the soil off of these roots as I can. The root system, is very underwhelming. I mean, obviously it has roots, it has to, but they're very small. They're not really white. Some of them are. But anyway, okay, we're back. He's had and seen better days. Like I said, I don't know that this is going to work with something that has gotten this damaged. These guys I'm a little more hopeful about. Basically, not only am I reducing the amount of soil that this little plant's going to live in for now, so that we won't have an overabundance of wet soil. There's a fungus gnat around my head right now. But also, I'm getting rid of all the soil that was in the pot that was filled with fungus gnat eggs. If you're picking up a pot like this with a plant like, this in it, and every time you pick it up, there's an explosion of fungus gnats, your plant is in too much soil and it is not drying out. Way too much soil going on here. And you are guaranteed, if a bunch of fungus gnats are coming out of your pot, I guarantee you have hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of fungus gnat eggs in that pot. So this is not going to fix that at this point. I mean, it just won't be able to catch up. So that's why I'm switching I'm not using the same soil, not even the same type. I'm using, instead of what I was using, what was in here, I'm using my sterile soil seed starting mix. So we're starting out with sterile seed starting mix. I have a little bit of Trifecta mixed in here, just like I would do if I was potting up. We're potting down in this case, but it's the same principle. And I very lightly moistened it. So I'm just going to set this little guy's roots in here. Again, I know this is a very small pot, but it's intentional. Now, it could be a little bit bigger, but I don't have any handy. So I'm using these. These are paper pots, by the way. They're called docu-pots. I just got them at Level Garden Center. It's a local guy. He owns a shredding company, and he's in Sterling. And they're literally just paper. They are not peat. I would never, ever in a million years recommend peat pots, ever. But these, theoretically, just break right down in the soil and turn back into paper pulp. But I'll decide, I'll make that choice if these guys survive and I go to plant them out, I'll either cut the pot off and plant it, or I'll just plant it if it looks like it's disintegrating. That's pretty much it. I mean, there he is. It's going to be really fascinating to me if these guys bounce back. I mean, tomatoes are incredibly resilient. I'm sure you've seen this. You know, you have plants that maybe you started them too early and they're really suffering in the house, and you're like, should I even plant this outside? But you plant it outside and you come back, you look at it a week later and it's like doubled in size. Tomato plants are really resilient. So we might have a good chance here. I don't know. I can't make any promises, but what I can promise you, like I said, is that if you have a pot that is swarming with fungus gnats, you have a million, well, maybe not a million, but probably thousands of eggs in there. Get rid of that soil. Rinse the roots off. Every resource that I looked at online said to do exactly what I'm doing. So I'm feeling pretty confident about that. I just don't know if they're going to survive all the hoopla. And just to prove my point, you know, this is not a pitch for soil blocking here at all. It's just to prove my point about this being too big, too much soil. It's not breathing. There's no oxygen in here. It's a perfect habitat for a fungal gnat issue. What is that? Oh, is these soil blocks. These all were started at the same time, same day, same night. But these are in soil blocks. I've never even seen a fungus gnat near these plants. I'm not kidding. And why? Because they dry out completely between waterings. They're not in too much soil at all, and they're not encased in plastic. So the airflow when you soil block is incredible, which is one of the main reasons for it. But Again, it's just to prove the volume of the soil relative to the plant size is very important. I just said I'd never seen a fungus gnat, and there's one now. Not anymore, he's dead. So let that be a lesson to you. Don't pot up into big giant pots. My peppers, I potted up, they were about, I would say like this big in December, and I potted them up into these pots. I don't know what I was thinking. Well, I know what I was thinking. I was thinking, this is such a nice pot. It's nice and deep. It's relatively narrow, but it's deep so the plants can grow down. Great idea, except for I lost like 3 or 4 pepper plants because I did this. Because why? Their soil's up to here with a little bitty plant, and it was just like, couldn't breathe. The roots weren't getting any oxygen. The soil was never drying out in these things. So I don't like these pots. By the way, I don't even know what I would use them for in an indoor grow room setting. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with these in the future. I bought a whole bunch of them. So if you have a giant fungus gnat issue and it seems to be affecting your actual plants, first of all, get going on this and don't back off. Once it sort of slows down, once the population reduces, you're not in the clear. Remember, one adult fungus gnat can lay up to 300 eggs. So you might only have one fungus gnat flying around your house. But if it lays 300 eggs and they all hatch, and then each one of those does the same thing, or all the females, you can have a really big problem really fast. So definitely be treating with this preventatively so you don't even have this issue. But things happen, life gets away from us. I understand, it happened to me, and it's never happened to me before. So repot into totally new soil, preferably a drier soil. This is much drier than the other stuff I was using. And maybe even pot down like I did if part of the problem was that you started in something like this. Okay, I think that's it for now. Wish these guys luck. Good luck, guys. And thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.